Welcome to the Whitetail Obsession Podcast with Dave Richmond and co-host Chris Worthing, where we talk and teach everything deer and turkey hunting related. Follow along as we help teach you tips and techniques about hunting, food plots, and habitat management strategies that everyone can use.
Podcast 121. Chris,
121.
I'm dying.
Dave is toothless.
Mm.
He had a tooth pulled, and now
did.
he has a sore mouth.
I've been struggling here, but I had
A lot less blah 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 out of Dave today.
I had a rough 3 weeks. I had a week and a half of having a head cold. Then I had a tooth pulled back here on last Friday. And then the next day, the tooth next to it, I'm talking severe pain. Like barely take it. I went on from Sunday to Monday to Tuesday. I woke up Tuesday. I was like, this is it. I'm done. So I called the dentist back. I had to go there yesterday at 12 o'clock. And he tells me the tooth next to it, I had to get it, that it was cracked. I'm like, well, the tooth wasn't cracked prior to you pulling my other wisdom tooth back here and whatever. But he ended up doing a root canal on it. I'm talking, my legs were like it was so sensitive. I was struggling. So this time he gave me an antibiotic. Well, I got the antibiotic today, and I woke up this morning. I'm talking severe pain still in that tooth and in the area that I had the tooth pulled. So it's 2 o'clock now. I took my first dose at 9:30 this morning. I'll take another one at 5, but hopefully here we start getting better, because I'm talking like, now I can take a lot of pain, but I'll be honest, I felt like crying.
Mm.
Like it's just like
That's
like
miserable.
somebody, yeah, just stabbing you like 24/7. I take Advil, takes the edge just off, but as soon as that wears off, I literally want to cry. So Chris is going to do most of the talking today. I'll chime in. You guys can hear him blah blah blah, but
blah blah blah.
we have a topic where it's kind of, we're getting toward the end of April here, and it's kind of starting to get go time with certain things, and depending on what you're doing in your property. But we're going to kind of talk in a broad spectrum of things to do this time of year to start getting your hunting property up to par, because hey, September here in Maryland, hunting season comes around real quick. Kentucky, early September, and then you guys out PA and Midwest and stuff is usually October 1st, but summer flies by, and then next thing you know, it's hunting season. So, Chris, why don't you explain to all the folks listening to this podcast right now, why don't you blah, blah, blah for a while, and explain some important topics that people should be focused on right now.
The first order of business.
First of all, hold on. Do you know what this is?
I can't. What the flip?
Some of your viewers know what it is, or some of the viewers watching on the video know what it is.
I can't tell. It looks like freaking. Is it threaded?
Mm-hmm.
It's valve stem puller.
No. No, it's a tool
Can't see
that when you cut arrows, you stick it in and grind it out on the inside of the arrow, and then you glue your insert in.
I never seen one of them.
Yeah, I was making arrows.
Huh.
Yep. It just roughs the inside up to
Yeah.
where you stick your insert in.
Never seen
All right.
one.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, second order of business. That was the first order. Since I'm the most beloved co-host, and Dave is not, I got fan mail this week. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, check it out. Here's what happened.
How can I check it out? I don't.
Well, I'm about to show you.
All right.
You supposed to be quiet. I'm supposed to talk.
Go ahead.
So I got a text saying, "Hey, what's your address?" I give them the address. They said, "I'm going to send you something." Okay. I said, "Should I be scared?" And it was like, "LOL, it's not alive." Okay. So, you guys, Dave picks on me because I don't like hot drinks. When I do drink something hot, it's hot chocolate.
No, let's be specific. It's Swiss Miss.
It's Swiss Miss and our boy David Terrell. You know David Terrell.
Oh, he told me he was doing this. I didn't tell you. He told me this. He
My
shipped you
man,
Swiss Miss.
my man David.
Look at this. Look at this.
Look at this. Look at this.
Swiss Miss. How epic is that?
Not only that, but a tumbler
Oh, nice. There you go.
with a nice lid on it.
Yep.
That snaps shut. But
Now
look
you
at the
can
label. Look at the label. I don't know where he found this.
Swiss Miss Instant Piss. Oh man, this is epic.
Is that not funny?
That is epic.
My man David hooked me up. That's a
He
nice cup, dude.
yeah,
That's a real nice cup.
he messaged me on it. I forgot to respond to him. I was doing 100 things, but he was asking for your address because he was going to send this to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I forgot to respond to him.
so he did text me and ask me, and I wanted it to be a surprise too. You know, he
Yep,
didn't really tell me what it was going to be,
that is
and
epic.
he told me to. He actually told me to open it during the recording, but
Yep.
I thought just in case this is a family show here. I didn't know what it was. Not that I didn't trust David, but you just never know. We
hmm
never met David in person, but no, he's a pretty cool dude. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he's in Kentucky, but
I
yeah,
think so. Yeah, he's been
he's
around. He's been watching forever.
he's been around. He listens, I think, on what did he tell me? Apple, I believe.
Apple. Yeah, yeah.
But he said favorite part of the show is when we're busting on each other.
Yep,
When we're bickering and picking on each other. And I'm like,
yep.
yeah, but that's not what the podcast is about.
Yeah, I get
So
that all the time. People they tell me like if I go to a consulting client, the first thing they say, they're like, "Dude, where's Chris? The best
there's
part of the
Chris.
podcast is you guys picking on each other."
That's hilarious.
Yep, that's
Okay.
epic though. You got Swiss
It is.
Miss in the freaking mail.
Yeah, that is something. That
I
cup
can
is
I can personally say I've never received fan mail.
well, uh, that's not the first time, but I mean that's cool. That cup is cool. I don't know what that would cost, but the freaking package cost him 13 something to ship it. It said right on it.
hmm
I was like, dude, he
He hooked you up.
he hooked me up, man.
Yeah. Now
That's
you can
it's
make
probably
now you can make Swiss Miss and have it hot for a few hours.
yeah, he's probably 40 bucks in the hole on that one.
hmm Well, let's
So
provide him with
I
good
told him I would
information.
shout him out, so he'll be listening. So thanks, David.
Yeah.
He
So
said there's a
provide.
backstory behind it too, so he said he'll let us in on that later.
Okay. Well,
But
why don't you hook him up with some good information?
okay, so David, of course, he's so much further ahead than us right now. My grass is barely green, but
Oh, we're in Maryland. I'm in Maryland here. Full leaf out, full green. People
really,
mowing grasses. Like now, obviously he's in Kentucky, so he's probably about 3 weeks ahead of me here in Maryland.
I bet.
So he out there is well
Yeah.
greened up.
Yeah, I mean, I've got people starting to mow grass here. Some of the ones that are out in the plain sun, the blaring sun. Some people are mowing. We're starting to get a little bit of leaf popping, unraveling the buds. All those maple red buds are everywhere. They've
hmm
dropped off. But so anyhow, let's get to the topic. We're 10 minutes in, blah, blah, blah. So this time of year, things you should be doing on your property. Um, a lot of people already have done some hinge cutting or trimming lanes out or whatever. Now we had some humongous weather events here: rain, hail, high winds. Um so I went to a couple of the properties and took a few walks, and some of my main deer trails, trees were across. So I went in with the chainsaw and I cut swaths out of logs and things and moved them to the side to make sure that they still keep that muscle memory using those same trails in and out of my plots. I didn't want that to get blocked off and screwed up. So that's something you could be looking into. Um, this time a year or two, I mean, if this strikes your fancy, I don't necessarily do this, but guys are like putting out minerals this time of year and salt blocks and what's them rocks?
Trophy
They're meant
rocks,
what yeah,
trophy
trophy
rocks.
rock. They're putting out the trophy rocks. Uh Domain has the recharge. They have food supplements, the block, the feed block, the stockpile block, that type of thing. Um, they use the excuse of fawning's going to be happening real soon here. They want to you know charge up their does, make them healthy, milk production, blah blah blah. They're shedding winter coats right now. They look really ragged. We had some in the backyard, and Caitlin was like, "Whoa, Dad, what's wrong with that deer?" And I was like, "It's shedding its winter fur."
Yeah, it's looking mangy.
Oh, they look really bad right now. I mean, not only are they skinny looking, because that was a harsh, harsh winter here in PA. We had it snowed, I think, at New Year's, and we had ice that accumulated and stayed on the ground till March. So the deer had it rough this year. I saw a lot of deer eating pine needles.
Hmm.
We had talked about this before in podcasts, and we had always said, if you see deer eating pine needles, they're in bad shape. And I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but because I did see some deer during late Flintlock when there was not a lot of snow yet, and there was some deer that were coming through, and I thought, "Oh, look, she's got her head up in these branches." I thought she was making like hitting a licking branch in a scrape or something. Then I was watching her through binoculars, and she was actually picking off pine boughs and eating them, which totally took me back. But I watched a bunch the other day here, and our browse line's so high. Um, I mean, there's no ag in my area. I have like the only food plots around. So, but right now, the clover's lip high, so they're starting to find it. They're starting to hit that, but they're also in people's yards just eating grass because it's the first thing that greens up really good around here. So they're ponding the neighbors' yards in the grass. They're starting to hit my food plots, but the browse line's so high, so they were eating some pine needles. But yeah, they look really rough. So a lot of people want to supplement the deer right now. Um, I don't always necessarily do that. In fact, I haven't done it in about 5 years, as a matter of fact. But I do have some product that I was sent that I'm going to put out this year, and I better get on that pretty soon, anyhow. So there'll be some short videos coming out about that. But yeah, if you're that type of guy, you want to supplement them. Like now's a pretty good time. They will be fawning really soon here. Uh, Turkey Scott. I mean,
Hmm.
we're weeks away from turkeys. You said it's already in or coming
It
this weekend
it
in
started.
Maryland.
No, it started a week ago today.
Okay, so you're already into turkey season down there, and ours starts. Well, the day you come up, we're going to be
Next
taking a
Saturday.
fishing trip. Yeah, Dave's coming up. We're gonna we're gonna canoe. We're gonna be biking. Might even hike. I don't know if we get real bored because there's a section of uh, of woods down here at the park that if we get bored enough, we might strap on the hiking boots. There's a portion down there I always wanted to see. I heard about called the Cathedral.
Hmm.
It's like
Oh,
humongous trees from down in Cook Forest that's on the state ground that they
hmm.
never timbered. Like humongous, hundreds and hundreds years old trees. So
Just
maybe
where
we'll.
the tower thing is we went to.
No, it's actually down around, I think down around that Sawmill Theater and
Mm.
that big bridge and stuff that's down there by the
Hmm.
ranger station.
Yeah,
It's
let's go.
down around that area. And I should know more about it since I live here, but I've never really been interested enough to do it, but lately everybody's been telling me about how cool this is to trek back in there and see these humongous trees. So I might we might look into that.
Mhm.
So other than that, now it might be a good time to start running your mock scrapes or putting up your vines or your hemp ropes, whatever you're into. I personally don't use the ropes. I mean, I might try one to test it out, but I just think they're unnatural. I know there's a lot of people that use them, and I'll probably get a lot of hate mail over that. But I try to stick to the overhanging branch and or vine. So
Next thing you'll get in the mail is a rope.
well, actually, I have a company that wants to send me a rope here, but they said get a hold of them in September when they get some fresh scent and things like that. That they want me to test this rope for them. So I don't know if that'll come to fruition or not, but yeah, that'll probably be next. And actually, I had a phone call over this weekend on Easter night. A buddy of mine, Brian from up in Erie, he's starting to make hemp ropes, and so he possibly wants to send me one as well to test. So we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, I think they're unnatural, but I want to stick to the branches and the vines. Um, and last year was the first year I used the vine, and it was like the freaking slobber knocker, man. They was beating that thing around and rubbing their faces on it and things, and I like to be el naturel. I was always putting, I was either taking over one of their scrapes and juicing it up, or I was making my own mocks and using overhanging branches, and it did real well. And then I thought last year, I wanted to try that vine out. So I had some vines on my property, and I cut them about 3 foot long, and I put them on a drill press, and I poked a hole in them that way, and put some zip ties on it, and hung them in a tree. Because if you're not familiar with what happens to these mock scrapes in the fall, when the leaves all come off the trees, the branches all lift up because there's no weight on them anymore, and they get out of reach of the deer, and then they'll stop using them. So last year I got the bright idea to hang that vine on it, a 3 foot vine that's 2 inches in diameter. It weighs a couple pounds, maybe, possibly, but it was enough weight to make that branch come back down reachable. You know, uh, it gave them something there visually and something to rub on, because they were killing those overhead branches all the way up till about the rut. And then like the branches, all the leaves fell off and the branches went up too high, and I got pictures of them standing up on their hind legs trying to reach the branch, and then they gave up because they couldn't reach it no more. So I hurried up and cut some vines and went over and hung them, and then they started ponding them again. So um, that was free, by the way, if anybody wants to try using vines. And I use smokies on my vines to start them out, so it's up to you guys. But once they start hitting them, you shouldn't have to really juice them up too much after that. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, yesterday I went out last year's uh, last year's incognito, which is screening for your food plots. I had a bunch of strips around my plot. Yesterday I went out with the cultivators and I tore those strips all up because it's a lot of matted down brown dead duff now that went flat after all that snow and ice. And it's if I had just left it like it is, it was actually good weed suppression, but I want to replant a screen. So I went over and tore it all up, and I'm gonna go disc it here after we're done recording this and get it smoothed out, chunk, get it broke up, and I'm gonna let it sit for a little while. And actually, Dave said when he's coming up, he has a jug of old simazine there he wants used up. So I'm going to spray that out and make sure that I don't get any weed growth. Because last year, with that drought that came on, for some reason, everybody was getting this foxtail popping up in their incognito. So I want to make sure that I don't have any competition that way with the if we hit drought again. stealing all the nutrients and stuff
Hmm.
out of that incognito. Because that's the goal. You want to have a pure stand of that stuff, and you don't want to have that competition uh, stealing your nutrients or your moisture from what you want to grow.
Yep.
So what else can we talk about? What you got, Dave? Add something.
Well, obviously, it's a boring topic, but people should be doing soil samples. Now's a
Yeah,
great time to get soil samples, and
about that.
you know, just because you get the soil sample, you can spread the lime. That's fine, but don't
Sure.
spread your fertilizer. You want to wait till you actually um, plant your seed. Excuse me. Whew,
So
I was about to sneeze, but
we still got guys on Facebook, asking those questions like, how much fertilizer do I add to my plot, and
mhm.
you know, how much
Yeah,
how much
I'll,
nitrogen do I add to my clover, and
yep.
the same old
I'll
people are on there saying, oh, you don't need nitrogen on clover. Yeah,
I'll
so
explain this real quick. Is that everybody knows I stopped working with all companies,
all
and
companies.
I would contribute on social media. I'd go into the forums and I would contribute. Ever since I stopped working with the companies and avoided those forums, my life is way better.
He's stress free.
I'm stress free because those questions I can't handle anymore.
Yeah,
It's the same thing over. It's like a
over and
broken
over.
record every
Yep,
single year.
yep.
I have over 800 videos on my YouTube channel that people can watch for free. They're there. I've made dozens and dozens of videos about every topic there is known to man. Yes, I'm not done YouTube. I'm still going to make videos starting here soon. But um, my life getting out of those forums, away from all that negative arguing stuff, has been tremendous. I don't have to worry about it. Like, I see them and I just keep scrolling by. I don't want anything to do with it.
Right.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, but they're still texting me though.
Good.
You still get PMs from 'em, people?
If somebody messages me, I answer them. But
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not specifically going on a forum and
Right,
and
right.
and contributing to a forum. I'm not doing it
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, I found, and I don't know if it's maybe recognition or not. I don't know. But lately, if I do answer any questions, someone just likes it or
Mm,
thanks me. Like they don't argue with me anymore. I don't know if maybe people have seen me post these podcasts enough and they realize that that's kind of what we do, and maybe they recognize. I don't know. Or maybe they don't know me at all and it was just good advice and they just give me the thumbs up, or I don't
hmm
know. But
Yeah.
it used to be though, when I tried to help people, like you said, they wanted to fight and argue and, well, this guy does it this way, and okay, you
Well, I
know,
have a
I
I
give
made a
up.
video 2, 3 years ago about this topic, how people go on social media, they're asking questions about these forums, and then the person that responds is giving advice. But then if you look at their food plots, they're trash. And if you
Yeah.
follow their feed, they're asking the same questions. Oh, my food plot failed, or this isn't growing right. But yet
Mhm.
they're giving the advice to the person that's asking for help. And it's just like
Yeah.
this, it's this
Yeah.
huge thing. And I made a video about it. Well, that video, for whatever reason, in the past couple months has exploded. Like, I'm getting comments on it like every day
Huh.
from people asking about that video, and they're like, dude, like, you're 100% right. Like, I look at, they're like, we see this, like, people are giving the advice that aren't having success. If you're not having
Yeah.
success, how can you give advice? You know what I mean? So
Well,
you just
and
got to, people got to be careful with that.
you know who I'm talking about too when I say this. And there's a few guys that are always first.
Mm,
As soon as somebody posts it, the first answer is coming from that guy. And you know who I mean, I'm sure. And
hmm
like, I've never seen any pictures of anything the guy's grown, but he's got every answer. Every post that goes on that specific channel,
hmm
that guy is first every time. I don't know if the dude doesn't work or what, but he must sit at home and wait for someone to post every day. Because if you like you said, when you scroll, but if you stop long enough to look, that guy's first every time. And I mean, and his advice isn't horrible, you know. and most of the time he's pretty close or right or whatever, you know. But
Hmm.
I mean, does the dude have a life? And does he even grow plots?
Right.
Because I've never seen
I haven't
any
either.
any pictures of that guy's plots or anything ever,
Hmm.
or anything that he's ever killed. You
Right.
know.
Well,
But
back just to finish up what I was saying, with the soil samples,
yeah,
you can spread your lime, but don't spread your fertilizer until you're ready to plant.
right.
Because you don't want to, feed the weeds. You want to try to kill them off the best you can. With glyphosate, 2,4-D, whatever. The other thing I was going to say is, like you said earlier, clean the trails up.
Yeah.
Deer trails.
Mhm. Yeah.
Get in there. Saw them up. 2 foot, 3 foot wide path in them. Get them cleared. Keep the path of least resistance is where the deer is going to go. Side of hills. If you have a straight section of woods, try to make a pinch point in there to pinch them, cut a bunch of trees down and get them to pinch, toward your stand.
Yeah.
And then also existing deer trails, clean those trails up. That way they can continue to use it. Um,
I
I think
should
that's a
go.
very powerful thing to do.
I should go down and make a short video about what I did down here.
Mm,
You know, because I changed I changed my stand around on my plot down there. I told you last year I picked a different tree.
mm-hmm,
And remember, I told you I named it Lucky Junior after the one we
mm-hmm,
had on the farm. It's a pine, and I'm hidden really. I could, like you said, I could probably do jumping jacks up there and not be seen. You know, one of
mm-hmm,
them type of things. And that tree, it was actually three trees came down right beside my tree. Now they timbered behind that tree. Right behind the tree, there's a line of timbering that someone did, and then those trees fell in front of this tree.
mm-hmm,
So I had to go down and clean that up because I would never get a shot. Like I know I can't shoot behind me because there's camps and things. So that's off limits. That's why I have the stand facing the direction I do. And a lot of the deer will come to me from in front of me. So that's why I'm facing that way in the first place. But those trees all fell parallel to me. And so there was a wall of brush that I would not be able to go through, or shoot through, I should say. Um, Now, also the deer, if on that opposite side of the wall, would be unkillable to me. So what I did is I went in and I cut everything. I chopped it all up and chopped and tried to break it all down and flatten it all out. Any tops or anything, I flattened it all out, and there was a portion where the deer like to walk, and I opened it up. I made a swath through all that brush pile so that they can walk straight through that and come right past my tree.
mm-hmm,
So, and then I got that all finished, and I went down the other day, and there was another tree down. It was dead stand, and I knew it was going to come down at some point. But I just got done cleaning up those first two that came down in the wind, and this one came down the other day in another storm, and it fell in the same vicinity, but it was blocking a whole nother trail that was incoming right underneath my tree. So I actually cut that swath out in the trail, and then I rolled those big logs up against all the other brush, and I made a wall in front of me so they can walk in front of me on this side of the brush pile, or they can walk up the other side and come around through the hole that I cut in that brush. It's I'm anxious to see what happens this year. See how they use that. You
mm-hmm.
know, I made them a hole through there, so hopefully they walk that, and they'll walk right into a trap. You know, so I should make a little video about that.
Yeah, you should.
But yeah, what was we gonna say? You was saying about the soil samples. Don't be throwing down the fertilizer unless you are actually seeding. You
Yep.
want your P and K doesn't move far, so you want all that stuff right next to your seed if possible. It doesn't leach away real quick like the nitrogen. So uh,
Yeah, if
if you
anybody is giving you advice, telling you how much fertilizer to add without a soil sample, he don't know what he's talking about.
yeah, turn and run.
It's literally a
Um,
get. I mean, anybody can guess. You know what I mean?
Now we do. I think you still do. I recommend some starter fertilizer when you plant anything.
Hmm.
Something with a low nitrogen and higher P and K. I like. Some people like to use 10, 10, 10, 13, 13, triple 19, whatever. I like to use like a 5, 20, 20 as my starter. That's kind of what I like to use. You can get away using that on anything that you
Hmm.
plant,
I
but
like that.
I like
Fertile.
starter.
Yeah, I like the starter fertilizer that has the micronutrients in it.
Mm, I
You
wish
know,
I had that here.
you
Yeah,
do. You have it.
I
J and J
have it.
has it. J and J has it.
Is that who you bought it from?
Yeah.
Huh,
Yeah.
I did
But
not
it,
know
it
that.
doesn't come in 5, 20, 20. It's either 5, 10, 10 or 5, 13, 13.
Huh.
Yep.
I'll
Has
have to
the
look into that, see if they still carry it.
He has it. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check into that. But,
Yep. That used
you
to
know,
be one of my favorites.
I'll be spraying micros too. I love foiler feeding after I get an initial planting in after about a month
Hmm.
of growth.
Yep.
So I'll be I'll be soon. My established clover plots right now. This is something else you folks could be doing. You could be spraying a micro or something on it here in another couple weeks, or giving it a shot, a small dose of nitrogen or something. I mean, I don't know if you're into that thing or not, but yeah, foiler feeding time's coming soon, and then the next
Oh yeah.
thing you know, you'll be getting weeds, and it'll be time for the IMOX. Who
Hmm.
knows?
Yeah.
But there again, don't if you're gonna be planning stuff in in the next month or something. Somebody asked me, "Hey, can I use IMOX?" Like to like what I just did. I'm going to be disking up those strips, and they were like, "Oh, when it greens up, should I use IMOX?" No, don't use IMOX on that. Don't do that because it has a certain residual, and I don't have a 100% answer for you how long that residual lasts. But I like to go 3, 4 weeks on the IMOX after before I replant something
Hmm.
just to be safe. But why not use Gly?
Right.
Go ahead, if you disc something up and it turns green, hit it with Gly.
Well,
Hit it.
Gly's a lot cheaper than IMOX too.
It sure is. But Gly's going to take care of almost everything you need it to in a situation like that, to get you started. And you can plant seed the same day. With spraying the Gly.
Yeah, just
Although,
use the correct dose of Glide. That way your plants don't become resistant. You want 2 quarts per acre.
yes.
I
So,
mean, you could even, I even done 2.5 to 3 quarts. Like
mm,
if the plants were really mature, I've used 3 quarts per acre for like a meltdown, you know.
yeah,
So you can't, if you use less, it's not good. You need to use the correct
right.
dose or
You need
more.
to burn it down.
Yeah, because I mean, you can spray clover with Glide at a low
You can
dose.
at a low dose, but then everything else, like you
Right,
said, will bounce back with the clover.
right, because it becomes resistant. I mean, it
Yeah.
just, so just use the right amount.
So I guess that's probably enough blah blah blah. That's our half-hour segment there, Dave.
All right, sounds good.
So Dave is pain.
Pain.
He probably needs a dose of Swiss
Swiss
Miss.
Miss is
He
my
probably needs
antibiotics.
he needs some Swiss Miss and antibiotics to get him through, I think.
I haven't, this is my first, I was telling Chris, this is my first dose of antibiotics in 15 years, and I'm upset about it because I don't like antibiotics. But you know what? Anything to get this tooth to heal up.
That's
I
miserable.
was I was desperate. So
Yeah.
antibiotics.
All right,
Podcast
guys.
121.
121's out. See
All
ya.
right. See you on 122.